Good morning, everybody. It's Mrs. King, and today we're going to talk about main idea. We've been working on that for a while now, and Mrs. Gannum just got done explaining to you about how when you're reading a text, especially nonfiction, that you do something called surveying the text, which basically just means looking through, looking at pictures, looking at the titles, the topics, the subtopics, and kind of getting a feel for what the book is going to be telling you about. And then you can kind of see what things have in common and what questions you have, and maybe try to make some connections as to what the book is all about, what it's telling you about, and the main idea. So I'm going to do that with this book called Plant Life Cycles. We're going to be using science to help us with some of our language skills. And so I thought that by reading this book and kind of practicing those things, that might help you determine the main idea. So this is called Plant Life Cycles. And the first thing I'm going to do is just kind of survey the text. I'm going to look at the topic right here, packet of life. And I'm also going to look at the pictures, and I see a bunch of seeds. Well, I know seeds come in a packet, so they're going to start talking about plants starting as seeds. Okay, I'm not reading it right now. Remember, I'm just looking. I'm surveying. Surveying is another word for looking to see what it's about. Here, I don't have any subtitle or any subtopics, but I do have some pictures. I see some seeds, and it's showing me what happens when a seed starts to grow. It grows roots and a stem from the seed. Okay. When I look here, I'm surveying the text. I see this is called a bulb. I know that because I've planted bulbs before, and it's showing me that some bulbs are being planted kind of like a seed, but instead of calling it a seed, it's called a bulb. It's bigger and it starts that way. So I used a little bit of what I already knew to kind of help me figure out what was going on. All right, here I have a subtopic, life unfolding. Okay, and then I see a picture of a seed kind of sprouted roots and a stem, and what is happening there. So again, when I look at this page, I see the seed, the roots, the stem, and I can kind of put it together in my head that, this is about how a plant is growing. But I'm going to keep surveying the text as I go and see if it tells me anything else. Okay, another picture. I see a bold word, shoot. I know from seeing plants grow that a shoot is kind of like the stem that carries the nutrients to the plant. So I know that from my prior knowledge and doing my own planting at home. Okay, when I surveyed this page, I've seen some plants that are a little bit older. They've grown a little bit longer. There's no headings, but I can definitely use the pictures to kind of help me. I still see that plant growing. And then it goes into a flower. There's my heading there. And I see the picture of the marigold here. So we've gone from the seed to the shoot or the stem, the root, the stem, into the plant and the flower. Okay. A dandelion I see here. I know a dandelion carries different seeds once they've matured. The wind can blow a dandelion and then they sprout as new seeds. Okay, in this page, I see the life cycle of an oak tree is what it's telling me. Again, we're talking about what happens from seed to sprout to now this is a tree. And then the tree, when it matures, produces acorns. And so it's a cycle. And this organizer, with this arrow, kind of helps me to understand that it is a cycle. I'm still surveying the text. It looks like I'm about to the end of this book. I can go back when I'm ready and read the book and then read and make sure I understand all of these glossary words. We've got bulb, decay, life cycle, nutrients, reproduce, roots, shoot, and stem. So I'm going to make sure that I understand the meanings of all of those words as I'm reading. What you're going to do also is to, once you're finished, you're going to be answering some questions about this book. How does each plant part help the plant grow? What role do flowers play in a plant's life cycle? And can you think of some plants that grow from bulbs? And the main idea, what's this book all about? So I believe that takes us to the end, and it does. So I'm going to go back to the beginning, and I'm going to read it aloud, and then you have a chance to read it on your own. Let's go back to the beginning. There it is, and then we'll read it and see what questions we can answer. Packet of life. Every living thing begins, can reproduce, and dies. In many plants, this life cycle begins with a seed. A seed holds the beginnings of a plant's first roots, stem, and leaves. A tiny plant waits inside each seed. A seed is ready to grow. Roots begin to grow. Roots grow bigger. Now a stem begins to grow. Leaves, stem. Some plants begin from a bulb. Bulbs grow roots, stems, and leaves too.
Let's go ahead and go out and get on the site real quick.
An onion plant begins from a bulb. The tiny plant grows. Roots make a strong base. They take in water and nutrients from the soil. The first shoot becomes a strong stem. The stem carries water and nutrients to the plant and holds up the leaves. Leaves grow from plant stems. Stem. Leaves use sunlight, air, and water to make food for the plant. Leaves are food factories for plants. Leaves. Flowers. Some plants make flowers. Plants make seeds inside their flowers. Marigold seeds. Marigold flowers make marigold seeds. When they are ready, some seeds fall to the ground. Animals or the wind will carry other seeds to new places to grow. At the end of the life cycle, plants die. Their bodies decay. New plants will grow in their place. Life cycle of an oak tree. The acorn sprouts. A young tree grows. The tree grows bigger. The tree makes flowers and acorns. After many years, the tree dies. And then we get to our glossary and our questions. So as I read this, I can kind of determine that the main idea is about, the topic is plants. I know that. That's my what. But what about plants is this telling me? And as I went through and I surveyed the text and I read it to myself, I know that they were talking about how a plant grows from a seed all the way to the end of the plant or flower and produces that flower, or that if it was a tree, it produces the acorn. That's kind of the fruit of the tree. And so this whole book is about the life cycle of a plant. And so if I was putting that into a main idea sentence, I would say plants go through a life cycle from seed to flower. And that's kind of determines the main idea of what this book is telling me about. So hopefully by surveying the text and thinking about what each page is about, you can kind of put the connections together in order to determine your main idea of what you're reading.